it, boys.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of HTF Bets. We have a returning face here to HTF Bets who hasn't been with us the last 2 weeks. Okelo, what's up, man? How you doing? Welcome back.
First off, Rob, it's glad to be back. I'm sorry for my 2 week sabbatical, and I know that it's great that I'm in a brand new location. We are at Club Pena, of course, because we celebrate nothing but dubs here. Because it is a dub that I am back. Because if you take a look at the last 2 weeks I was absent, ratings were down, social media wasn't working as good, and multitude of things need a boost in the shot in the arm. So why not get a little boost of OSP, baby, in Club Pena for the first time ever? And I'm glad that Sean is here because now I have usurped him in the standings. So I'm wearing black right now to celebrate the death of Sean's one loss dripping in red paint because now he has two. And I am feeling good being in Club Pena, serving Nick another L. And I'm just excited to dive in and talk some fantasy basketball. This shouldn't even be HTF Bets today. This should be Club Pena special with yours truly back where he belongs.
Sean, would you like to respond to that?
I don't know what to respond to. The man's wearing a vest with a Juju Smith-Schuster t-shirt. That says anything I need to say. Ratings down? Yeah, sure. A lot of people like Okelo's terrible takes. It's amazing to hear them. It brings me great joy. Most of us have very stressful weeks, and to see Okelo Pena on bets is a nice step away to know it can always get worse. So yes, I'm back on bets. I've got the shades on because listen, I did lose. I did lose last week. Robert had a great week. Robert's got a great team. But I just basically made a bunch of trades to re-firepower my offense to make sure Okelo never, ever can say he can beat me.
And
Yeah, let's
you and me get to the championship that you will never, ever.
Hey, let's hear from Nick, buddy.
Again.
No, yeah, let me get to Nick real quick. I'm going to get to Nick real quick because we got to start off with this trade first. Sean, you alluded to making trades. I mean, you made a bunch of trades this week. I think you and Nick both shook up the league this week when you traded for Nikola Jokic off of Nick's team. Nick, let's talk a little bit about the Nikola Jokic trade. What's going on through your head where you're trading your best player and arguably the best player in fantasy this season?
Listen, I'm 2-6. I am not winning the championship. I have acknowledged that. It's time to go into rebuild. So what point does Nikola Jokic stand on my team? It's time to shake things up a little bit. And so Sean came calling, and we made a fair trade. We made a fair trade on the phone. But then some other people in this league put Robert Covington in deals and Backspasm's Evan Fournier in the deal. And we're trying to put Karl Anthony Towns and Giannis in these deals now. And our trade's getting vetoed, and we're having to redo this and that. It didn't make any sense. I traded Nikola Jokic for Jeremy Grant and John Wall. We were trading all-stars for all-stars. Fair trades. We made that trade. I am so glad that trade went through. And that's all there is to it. No collusion. We're just making smart moves.
Conspiracy theories aside, you still tried to weasel your way to try to beat me, but at the end of the day, you still took the L, Nick. So
I got close. I gave you everything I had. If I would have won, Jokic would still be on my team right now. But I did not, and he's not there anymore.
Yeah, and let's talk about the return there because I think the return's actually not that bad. I mean, the first thing you say is let's trade Nikola Jokic, and people say, okay, that's insane. What are you doing? But Sean, you gave up John Wall and Jeremy Grant, who are two consistent starters who put near 40 points a game. I don't know if Grant does. I know Grant's close to that, but I know Wall obviously does. So talk about getting rid of Wall and Grant, Sean. Obviously, that's an upgrade getting Jokic, but obviously it didn't come at a cheap price.
Listen, this was the first trade that started it all. I'm glad that Nick says Backspasm's Fournier. I think, I want that to become trending. Listen, it was a solid deal. And listen, to get a guy like Jokic, number one fantasy scoring player, I knew that Nick's season was just going down the hole. He needs more than just Jokic to become successful. And I need more than John Wall and Jeremy Grant to beat Okelo Pena. Now, granted, let me just get some straight here, okay? I've already beat Okelo Pena once this season. Okelo has forgot that. I don't need to make trades. My team is fine. But when you get a chance to get Nikola Jokic, you get the Nikola Jokic. Now, everybody in this league was a little butthurt that, let's be real, nobody wants to help me except my good friend, Nick Geddes. It's fine. I don't need people to like my team. I don't need people to want to help me. I got second in fantasy football for a reason. I'm going to redeem myself and get first in fantasy basketball for a reason. I'm the best it's ever done. What else can I say?
In the famous words of the Dikembe Mutombo, not today, Sean. Not today, because I would like to applaud Nick for giving me Andre Drummond, because once he gets traded to his situation, he just already upgraded my front court. So with Rudy Gobert.
When is he getting traded? When is he getting traded?
It's very soon. And you dumped him and you left him up for me. So thank you for giving me more boost to add with Go James than the rest of my cast.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that. But he ain't playing right now, so he's not helping you right now.
I got
he's on waivers right now.
De'Aaron Fox. Wait, did I cut him in today?
We don't need to check that. We don't need to check it.
Yeah,
we can just go. So let's keep going.
Let's get into the next trade. Let me get Okelo involved here, because Okelo, you and Sean, I think all three of us made a trade with Sean this week. So Okelo and Sean, you guys made a trade as well. Sean, you want to get into a little bit of well, actually, I'm not going to go to you first. I'm going to go to Okelo first, because apparently you were the one that offered him the trade. So what did you offer to him and why?
So I know it might be crazy for some people that I wanted Jaylen Brown off my roster, and I also wanted to get rid of Mike Conley, but I did have some implications and reasons for it. Number one, I got way too many Utah Jazz on my roster. I picked up Jordan Clarkson, sixth man of the year, and I got the French Stifle Tower Rudy Gobert. I was already stacked with too many Utah Jazz. I can't, like, I have rules. Like, I feel like we all have rules in fantasy sometimes with division rivals. I can't have too many of them. So I needed to get rid of a Utah Jazz, and I don't take any player that's from Boston. I don't take nothing from the Patriots, nothing from the Red Sox, nothing from the Celtics. So I wanted Jaylen Brown off my roster. In return, I got Michael Porter Jr. Now, granted, it's another nugget off my roster. Am I happy about it? Yes. Is Michael Porter Jr. playing great? He's outstanding. So I just made the trade based off of my need, because obviously I have other areas. Now, granted, I wanted to maybe shape up my point guard position and my power forward position, which I'm still disappointed in Rob for not accepting my great trade offer, where I did offer Devin Booker and Jaylen Brown for Zion and Chris Middleton, and you obviously decided not to want the trade, even though you're nowhere near the playoffs. You could have just boosted me, but I see where you're coming from. But I just needed it based off of my personal need and necessity, and I will just continue to develop my roster in contention for the championship.
Yeah, well, I made a counter offer, and you wanted Bradley Beal or Luka Doncic, and that wasn't happening. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, I think Sean, commissioner, looking over the trades, I think you handedly won that deal, Sean. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna be honest. I was shocked. I couldn't have accepted the deal quicker. It was flabbergasting. I offered. I forgot what I offered. I think the night before I offered Porter Jr. for Fox. Of course, I'm trying to win the deals. I thought that was it. I thought there was gonna be no more trade offers. I wake up, had a good sleep, wake up, and I see a Jaylen Brown and Mike Conley, an all-star and an almost all-star for Michael Porter Jr., who's like the third or fourth best player on the Nuggets. I said, sign me up. So now, I accepted the deal quicker than anybody could have asked. It was so great for me, and I'm shocked he made the deal to me, because, again, he wants to beat me. I don't know. I was shocked, but I'm happy it happened.
You deal with his injuries and inconsistencies, because the week that I needed them to beat you, they were unavailable. So you enjoy the injuries and stuff, and when they cripple to you, by the time I'll just have the Infinity Gauntlet and snap my fingers for all your championship dreams to disappear.
I hope all the Okelo-holics really go show him support for that trade. How hard is it for you Okelo-holics that are going to have to go tweet him and be like, that was such a good trade? 99% of Americans would think that is a god-awful trade. Just saying it. But it's okay. I worked out in my favor.
Because I promise you, I'm coming back for him so that I can get what I want. And Rob, you will give me what I want.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Listen, I've already had to turn down 3 or 4 deals. So I told you, Beal,
Zion, you're going to give me Chris
Beal and Doncic are off the table.
I will give you Devin Booker, and I will give you Jimmy Butler if you want it.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But let's get into the last trade. Sean, I believe this is your last trade. It's you and
Yes.
me. You offered me this. I think it was yesterday, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I traded you DeJounte Murray, who's averaging about 35, 36 a game, for Kemba Walker, who's averaging about 31. So he's Kemba's obviously averaging a little bit less. And then you also included Steven Adams to which is okay. I mean, he's been a waiver player for a while, but
Yeah.
it lessens the damage of losing a really good, consistent player like DeJounte Murray. But listen, I was very impressed with Kemba Walker's performance Tuesday night, so it's worked out so far, and I expect to at least continue on Kemba's part. But no, I mean, why did you want DeJounte Murray so bad?
It wasn't even that bad. I'll be very simple and plain with you. I had Jason Tatum. I had just stolen Jaylen Brown from Okelo, and I already had Kemba Walker on my roster. I couldn't have 3 Celtics players. So Kemba Walker was the odd man out. I said, let me go look around and see who would want to flip a player that, listen, I don't think we're looking to trade DeJounte Murray.
No.
I wasn't looking to trade Kemba. It kind of worked out perfectly. Similar trades. And it kind of just worked out perfectly. I had a partner that really understood the trade and really wanted to get it done. So that helped. And it was a fair trade. I wasn't going to really need Steven Adams when I have Jaren Jackson coming back. And I just picked up Karis LeVert. So I bet Okelo likes that. I didn't need Steven Adams. So it was a fair trade for both sides. I was really happy to get it done. I think it's going to work out for both of us.
Yeah, I'm a little mad now because Karis LeVert is, I'm pretty sure, coming back pretty soon, isn't he? And I was the one that dropped him after all these weeks because he just, I mean, you didn't know when he was coming back, and now he's back.
Yeah, he's coming back after All-Star. So I've got Jaren Jackson Jr. and Karis LeVert coming back from All-Star. Luckily, listen, worst I can get out of them is bench scores. I don't need them to be 40 points a night. I just need them to be, all Okelo fake yawns. I just need them to be decent scores. My team's stacked. Let's just call it like it is. I did for all you fans out there, I know you don't really care, but I did a roster analyzer last night. And my roster was rated 327. Okelo's was rated 283. So again, if we don't need to keep going into it. I think you're so bored of the news and all that stuff. But
you know what I'm so bored of? I'm so bored of the fact that you still realize that I still lead the division right now. I have the #1 seed, and I'm taking
he's right.
the damn.
He's right. But guess what?
I only lost 1 game. I've crushed Rob. I crushed Nick twice. I'm crushing everybody, man. What are you gonna get over yourself, Sean? You beat me 1 time because of injuries and COVID, and you think you're the king of muhaha.
Wait, what's your record?
I am 7-1.
Okay, and who beat you?
You did, but
okay, just want to make sure. For a second, I thought I was having a bad dream. Okay,
with injuries and COVID.
Listen, I've been more COVID riddled than anybody. Maybe Nick. My team has been more COVID riddled than anybody. So we'll end it at that. I'll see you in the championship. Hopefully, I really do want to see you again. Okay, well, I really do.
This is all you're gonna hear when we get into it. Just the snap of the gauntlet.
Oh, see, this is what we missed here. I mean, we missed bringing Sean on so he could argue with Okelo for 15 minutes. So I mean, this is what's great about it. You know, aside from all the just drama going on in our fantasy league right now and all the craziness that stirred this weekend. But we'll talk more about fantasy basketball when we return next week. But we're still more to come. In our next segment, we're going to talk some NFL. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to HTF Bets. So we're going to switch from the hardwood to the gridiron. We're going to discuss now some implications with some big moves that went down in the NFL. We are less than a couple weeks away from free agency, and one of the biggest deals that just went down this past week has been J.J. Watt. He has officially decided where he's going to take his talents next to, and in a shocker, not Green Bay, not Cleveland, nowhere cold. He's staying in the Southwest, going over to Arizona, signing with the Cardinals on a 2-year, $31 million deal with 23 guaranteed. Obviously, it's a reuniting with DeAndre Hopkins, former Texans brothers in arms. And of course, Watt is excited to hopefully play with Kyler Murray because he believes in him. So we obviously know that the NFC West has been, if not one of the busiest divisions as of right now in the offseason. Rob, I want to start with you, our NFC West expert. Let's talk about J.J. Watt. I mean, now that he's there, I mean, it's going to be havoc for quarterbacks and offensive lines in that division. For Matt Stafford, he already had to deal with Chandler Jones. Now he's got to deal with J.J. Watt again. Tell me, how do you see this implementing out? Do you see this giving a shot to the Cardinals, or do you think that this is something where it'll just have to wait, play out, probably another 8-8 season in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, with the Cardinals, it's such a stacked division that I think the Cardinals will finish at worst third again. I'd be very surprised if the Cardinals, finish in the top two, just because I think that division is so good. You have San Francisco, who, have questions at quarterback. They don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo's, if they're going to trade him, if they're going to cut him. Who knows what happens with Jimmy G if he goes somewhere, if they get Deshaun Watson, which I doubt. But, 49ers defense will be back next year. They should be good. You have the Rams. Stafford should be much better than Goff, and that Rams defense is great. And then now you have the Cardinals who are adding, like you said. I mean, you mentioned Chandler Jones. They have Chandler Jones. Now they have J.J. Watt, and that defense is getting better. And they already have Kyler Murray. Their offense is set, so it's going to be really interesting. I think now you talk about what the implications are. Is, does this mean the Seahawks are going to finish at the bottom of the NFC West, because they have clear issues on their team. Their defense is, their defense got better as the season got along last year, but their offensive line is awful. So, I mean, now you have to deal with J.J. Watt. You already deal with Aaron Donald, and you already have to deal with Nick Bosa, who's coming off injury. So now you're going to have to deal with J.J. Watt as well, and a better Cardinals defense. Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a time for Russell Wilson and the Seahawks offensive line. So I think if any of the implications, it's not so much the Cardinals being better this year. It's the Seahawks going to be probably the worst team in that division if all those teams stay healthy.
It will be interesting to see. I mean, Russell Wilson is accustomed to making magic, but obviously there's so many unhappy, clear signs with them. But Nick, I want to come to you. I mean, even though J.J. Watt is certified in Arizona, I mean, they also have some other implications in terms of free agency that they got to work on as well. I know Patrick Peterson is planning to become a free agent this offseason, and Hanson Reddick will also be a free agent this offseason. Does J.J. Watt signing basically make the Cardinals defense look better? Do you feel that they still have to make sure that those other guys in the secondary and at the linebacker position are secured?
Yeah, I still think there's a lot of holes in this defense. Obviously, with Chandler Jones and Budda Baker and Hassan Reddick and now J.J. Watt, you definitely have your stars in place, but that doesn't make a great defense. And they were kind of just a middle-of-the-pack defense last year. And cornerback, I don't think Patrick Peterson is worth bringing back. I think this is the downslope of his career. He's proved that now, especially since he'll be 32, going on 33 next season. So there's not enough there for me. They're going to have to see an uptick in Byron Murphy's play, which I think they will get going into year 3 there and year 2 under Vance Joseph's system. But again, I think about what's in between J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones. There's not much there. There's not a leader of the defense in the middle of that defense at middle linebacker. And that's a big part. And you need that in big defenses. We just saw Tampa, obviously championship defense. What was their strongest point in that defense? Right in the middle. You need that on a championship defense, in my opinion, more often than not. And the Cardinals don't have that. So I think they're going to have a lot of implications there. But going towards fit for J.J. Watt, I think it's a fantastic fit because he can still play. He can still play. The sack numbers weren't there last year, but he was the guy that was the focal point of that Texans defense. He got all the attention. The attention's going to be off him more, and I think he's going to definitely start getting those sack numbers more. Although I think the price tag on him is a bit steep for my liking because I said, last week I thought he could sign anywhere from $4 million to $12 million in that range, depending on if he was going to go and take a pay cut for a contender or not. Clearly, he went after the money, but it's also a team with some upside, so I do like the fit as well.
Like I said, the Cardinals, they're kind of like that question mark where it's like they have all the pieces. It's just a matter of them getting there. And my questions, of course, deal with Cliff Kingsbury as their coach, because obviously the success that he had at Texas Tech wasn't warrant enough, in my opinion, to earn a head coaching job, but he's done a steady job so far. So I'm hoping to, and you mentioned all the great points, Nick, like J.J. Watt can still play. I mean, yes, he's hampered by injuries from time to time, but if you look at it, he's still one of the top rated pass rushers in this league. Granted, we still have Aaron Donald, TJ Watt, some of the new guys coming up, but he's still pretty high up there. Sean, excuse me. I don't mean to interrupt there, but for Sean, let me come to you. I mean, we're talking about the NFC West, but like the NFC overall is still a little bit of a question mark. I mean, like I said, JJ Watt could have gone to a contender, Cleveland, Buffalo, Green Bay, as I mentioned. He went for someplace that would offer a little more money probably than the pay cut. But for the Cardinals in the NFC, does their stock go up or do they stay kind of in the middle?
Well, whenever you add a JJ Watt, the stock definitely goes up. I think I agree with a lot of the points that Robert and Nick both made, though. That defense is not a top tier defense, regardless of adding JJ Watt, right? Isaiah Simmons is still very young. He made a couple of bad decisions, especially in his first year, rookie mistakes, but all in all, a pretty solid rookie year. Patrick Peterson, wherever he goes, I think he's going to be a solid corner. He's been in Arizona for so long. I think after a while, again, you just need a new place of scenery. So, no, I don't think Arizona should have re-signed him. I think he's going to be fine wherever he goes. The problem that I'm kind of looking at, listen, everybody's looking, oh my God, Chandler Jones, JJ Watt. The only problem I'm having is JJ Watt plays in a division where there's not a lot of mobile quarterbacks, right? Best quarterback in that division is Ryan Tannehill. JJ Watt hasn't played against a running type system quarterback in a while. The one he's got is Deshaun Watson. It was on his team. So when I'm looking at this division, it's a little bit different, right? You've got a Russell Wilson, right? You've got some of those guys that can get out of the pocket and make some moves. JJ Watt has been riddled with injuries the past couple of years. So the questions that come up are, number one, can Chandler Jones and JJ Watt stay healthy at the same time? And can the Cardinals get a better secondary? The secondary is not good. And there's no question. Plus, you could say, oh, is this a playoff team? Right now, they're right on the cusp because that offense is not where it needs to be at yet either. That offense can go down 95 yards on the first drive and then not score for the rest of the half. You saw that in multiple games last year where that offense gets stagnant and there's nothing anybody can do about it. So do I see them as a playoff team? I think that division is the best division in the NFC. So I think you're going to see about 3 of those teams make the playoffs next year. One of them's out. And right now, I agree with Robert. The Seahawks, with Russell Wilson not happy, with that offensive line, even with that defense, the Seahawks are the one out. But the Arizona Cardinals are right there. So it could go, it's a toss-up right now.
It is a toss-up. Like I said, and my personal thing, like, I would have liked JJ to go to Green Bay. I would have liked him to go to Cleveland. I honestly thought he might have come to Pittsburgh and tag team with TJ. I mean, it seems like the Steelers want to try to run it back. I'm not too pleased about all that. But, I think, though, that this is technically a good fit. I'm not too confident, like I said, on the Cardinals because we did mention the inconsistencies. It's a team that is talented, but we can't see them fully play a full 60 minutes. They can score 35 one week, 17 the next week. So until I see the consistency part shape up, I can't see the Cardinals as a playoff team right now. I think, like we mentioned, Sean, you mentioned that there could be 3. So far, I only see 2, and that's the Rams and that's the Seahawks because until San Francisco gets their injuries down, I need to see if Jimmy Garoppolo can still be that dude because even when he was healthy, you saw the 49ers still had their offensive issues, and they need to make sure that their running back situation is also better. So until I see that, I'm saying that the Cardinals are there, but there's still going to be another 8-8 type of finish. But that's where I'm going to go to with my next part. So, Sean, real quick, if you were to bet money, 2021 NFC West champion, who are you taking and why?
See, I didn't even think about it. Right now, I'm probably going the Rams. That's probably, I don't want to say that. Right now, San Francisco, I don't know who their quarterback's going to be. And I don't know who's going to be healthy. I don't agree with you, though, on the notion of the Seahawks and Rams. The San Francisco 49ers had almost every single defensive starter injured at one point last year. 2 of their top pass rushers did not play the final 12 weeks. So I don't agree with you on that. I think that defense can pretty much win for the 49ers 10 games alone if they stay healthy. But right now, I'd have to say the Rams because I lack the best quarterback right now in that conference or that division is Matthew Stafford, besides Russell Wilson.
No, I agree. I think so far, like the Rams have been the winner of the division. Like the only reason I say Seattle is because, like, granted, like Russell Wilson is still going to do Russell Wilson type things. They still have a pretty solid defense with Jamal Adams, so they're still going to be there. Nick, are you still feeling the same way? Is this the Rams division to win? Do you see anybody else, or is this for a team to lose?
I think it's going to be the 49ers that win this division. We've seen teams have Super Bowl hangovers, and then the year after that, they get it right back together. And I think that's what you're going to see with San Francisco, regardless of who the quarterback is. They went to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo playing middling football. I mean, you can take, I don't know how many other quarterbacks you can plug in there that could have gone. Like, there's plenty that you could have plugged in. They could have gone to the Super Bowl, I think, that year. That's just how good they were. And yeah, they're up against the cap. They're going to lose a Richard Sherman, I expect, and a couple other guys. But John Lynch knows how to draft well. He knows how to get the best out of guys. And that defense is still loaded. It's still loaded. We didn't get a fair assessment last year. And offensively, Brandon Ayuk is going to take a DK Metcalf. I think he's going on that roller coaster ride, or that trend on the roller coaster right now that we're not talking about enough. Deebo Samuel also is another guy who can stay healthy. I like what they have on offense. So, and I don't trust Matt Stafford. I've never trusted Matt Stafford. I understand he wasn't in the best situation, but I got to see the guy win. I got to see the guy win games. I really do. Right now, I just see hollow stats, and I hate saying that about Matt Stafford. But the fact of the matter is, he has not won games in his career, and I've got to see it.
I'm sorry, fourth quarter comebacks and the
We don't even need to argue. We don't need to argue.
Granted, he's a 5,000-yard passer. Are you serious?
He hasn't won.
He
hasn't won.
He's only been in three playoff games, Nick.
And that's
exactly. He hasn't won.
He got ripped off in the Cowboys game. No pass interference call. Hello.
You got to win in this league. No excuses. At some point, there's no excuses. Matt Stafford's been in the league for 11 years. Okay, this is his best team. If he can't take this team to the playoffs and win a playoff game, then I think that the legacy of Matt Stafford is cemented, and not in a great way.
Well, I will agree with you on that, but Rob, we need to hear this. I mean, the disrespect. I mean, you were excited when Matt Stafford is now in LA. Do you feel like this is the Rams division to lose?
I mean, listen, I hate betting on my own team, but yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think with the 49ers, it's more than a Super Bowl hangover. It's a fact of just not being able to stay healthy. And I think, when it comes to the 49ers, I think, yeah, getting the defense back is obviously huge, and they're going to win games and they're going to steal games for the 49ers. But again, the quarterback is a huge question. I mean, yeah, they went far with Jimmy Garoppolo in their Super Bowl year, but also Jimmy Garoppolo can't stay healthy either. And that was a problem last year too. So, I mean, it's just a lot of questionable situation with the 49ers. I think they're going to be either first or second in that division, but no, I think right now, heading into the season, heading into the offseason, it is the Rams division. The Rams have close to two number one wide receivers. They have Matt Stafford, who I personally think is a phenomenal fit in Sean McVay's offensive style. It's a way better fit than Jared Goff. And then you have, obviously, they were the best defense in the NFL last year. So you're going to see a lot of returning faces to the Rams. You still have Donald. You still have Ramsey. I don't see the Rams getting worse. I see the Rams getting better. And they were already close to the best team in that division last season, and you're having the Seahawks drop off. So, I think the Rams are either 1A or 1B in that division. They're a playoff team. And until further notice, I think Seahawks probably end up finishing bottom of that division. I don't see it with them. I think Russell Wilson had an MVP-style season halfway through and then steadily declined. Because of it, you can blame it on the offensive line. You'd be right to do so, but you have to blame it on him too. He didn't look great. So I don't like the Seahawks where they're going with it. So I'm gonna say, yeah, the Rams, but I won't be surprised if the 49ers give them a run for sure.
We just bring back everything. I mean, the Rams and 49ers are two so like equally looked teams. Like, they just have everything that's almost similar. They got great wide receivers. I mean, Nick mentioned, Brandon Ayuk. I mean, a lot of people are sleeping on Van Jefferson. I think he could be a receiver that you see in year two that could take that up work. I think Robert Woods is a borderline top 10 wide receiver. I mean, he puts in 1,000 yards each and every single season. He's a consistent catch rate guy. I know, Sean, you're giving me that look, but Robert Woods he's a playmaker. He's a baller. And Rob can attest to me with that, because Robert Woods makes plays. And like I said, he could be on the cusp of a top 10 receiver if he plays his cards right. Yeah, but it's just, I just look at everything where it is, and it's just like, the good thing about this division is that they have a great defense and a great offense. It's just going to be like Cowboys in the West. Who's going to have that final flare gun? We said this last year. It's going to be a fight to the finish. It's going to be likely last man standing come time in week 16 or week 17. But I'm betting my money on the Rams right now, because like I said, they have the defense that I think has been unstoppable. I mean, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, what else can you say?
Do we have time to talk Kyle Van Noy?
We will. We get to that.
I was about to say, Lord, we talking like this for like 20 minutes.
It's all good, but I'll just say, yeah. In just a quick synopsis, I mean, Aaron Donald, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, but that's another conversation for another day. And then Jalen Ramsey, as of right now, the second best corner in the league. Sorry, Rob, with the disrespect, but I digress.
Better than you saying he wasn't top 5 like a year ago, so I'll take it.
Xavier Howard is still number 1 until further notice. Get 10 interceptions, come talk to me. But speaking of Xavier Howard's former teammate, Kyle Van Noy, and I know this sticks into Sean a little bit because he's a former Patriot, signed a massive contract with the Dolphins last offseason after 1 year, $30 million down the drain. Sean, do you see a reunion coming back in New England, or do you see Kyle Van Noy being a key defensive piece somewhere else?
This can go one of 3 ways. Do I want him back in New England? Yes. This is why the Dolphins are just a mess. I don't care what kind of record the Dolphins have. I don't care how good the Dolphins can get, okay? The team right now is not happy. I can tell you that with certainty, okay? The Dolphins, he is a defensive leader on that team. He made himself known in his first year to be a defensive leader. You don't pay a guy $51 million if you don't think he's going to be a piece of your franchise for years to come. The fact that you release him after 1 year, which he didn't have a down year. He played very well in a new system first year. Yes. Do I think he can go back to the Patriots? Yes. Do I want him to? Yes, we need him. We need his leadership. We need him in a system that he's been in. We need more veteran guys. We're getting Dante Hightower back. We're getting Patrick Chung back. We're getting some of these key pieces back, and to get him would be helpful. Now, what happens if he doesn't come back? There's only 2 options that I see him taking place. Number 1, the Buffalo Bills. This is a key, whatever, New England, you're not getting your old players. We're going to take them. We're the better team now. I can totally see them because they're probably going to lose Matt Milano in free agency. That's another potential New England free agency target. I could totally see that happening. But if they lose Matt Milano, they'll easily go for Kyle Van Noy. Only other option that I see is the Green Bay Packers. Those are the only other 2 besides New England that I think would be highly interested in a guy like him, that need a guy like him that can play multiple positions on that defensive line, and could even go back into that middle linebacker position. But he's best up front. So that's the 3 teams that I see could potentially be a landing spot for him.
Nick, do you see any wildcard teams that could potentially be in the Kyle Van Noy sweepstakes?
I think the Raiders, maybe. You see everything going around today. They're shopping Trent Brown. They're releasing Gabe Jackson. So they're definitely putting themselves in position to spend a little money here on the defensive side of the ball, which has plagued the Raiders. And, Mike Mayock said at the end of the year, we just don't have enough guys who pop off the screen on defense. We don't have enough playmakers. Kyle Van Noy is a playmaker. Like Sean said, he did not have a down year. This is why this is very puzzling, especially since Kyle Van Noy played under Brian Flores. So you would think it's just such a natural fit. I really don't understand it. But I think outside of those big contenders, a team that could really use a Kyle Van Noy is somebody like the Raiders. And I think he would do wonders there to a defense that is just starving for some playmakers.
Okay, the Raiders, I definitely like that. Rob, Kyle Van Noy sweepstakes. Any teams, or are we seeing a reunion back in New England with that $76 million cap space that they got?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if, like Sean said, like if the Patriots didn't go after a guy like Kyle Van Noy, especially because he's used to playing there. Belichick values defensive leadership like a guy like Kyle Van Noy brings. It's just really shocking that the Dolphins cut him. I really don't understand it. It's a lot of dead cap now that the Dolphins are going to have to deal with cutting him after 1 year. I just don't get it. I don't get why you would get rid of veteran leadership like that. And it's not like he had a down year or anything like Nick said. I mean, I believe Kyle Van Noy had a career year last year in terms of defensive stats. So the Dolphins, who have a young defensive team, and they were great defensively last year, to get rid of one of those pieces, it just doesn't really make sense. So I don't know if something's going on there where they're going to allocate money elsewhere. I really don't know what the Dolphins are thinking there, cutting them after, 1 year into a 3 or 4 year contract. So yeah, I mean, any team, even outside of New England, whether it's Buffalo, whether it's Vegas, any team that can get a defensive leader like Kyle Van Noy is going to benefit, even at 30, 31 years old. I mean, he's a Swiss Army knife. He can play a lot of positions, and he's just a great guy in the locker room to have. So any team that pays him money this offseason is getting a great player that's going to make their team better, both on and off the field.
All great points, guys. I think to wrap up this segment, I mean, the three teams I could see him maybe coming to the Broncos. I think, Von Miller might be on his way out. They might, flex some pieces on defense. They just got rid of Jarrell Casey. So I think the Broncos, I think he could fit a Vic Fangio type 4-3 scheme of a defense that could be like a glove, and to be able to tag team with Bradley Chubb and be able to make havoc on defense. I could definitely see him. I think a team that's not getting talked about a lot, the Tennessee Titans. I think that could be a good fit linebacker-wise. Mike Vrabel, a former linebacker himself. That's a match made in heaven, a Patriot to Patriot connection. There you see it. But for the wild card, though, I got to go with a team that we're making a lot of moves. I think he should come to Pittsburgh. And the only reason I say that is because – I mean, we likely are going to lose Bud Dupree, and I see Kyle Van Noy being somebody that the Steelers, with a little extra cap space, thanks to Ben Roethlisberger taking a huge pay cut, that could be able to secure this. And Sean,
doesn't him and TJ Watt play the exact same position?
But Bud Dupree is going to be gone. Sean, that's the position that we need to fill. Kyle Van Noy is going to fill that spot.
With what?
Yeah, with what money?
You can say Ben's going to take a pay cut. He ain't taking it yet. He's still on the books for $41 million next year.
We are in negotiations. I don't like the fact that we're keeping him for one more year, but just wait. The pay cut's coming, and we're going to get some cap help to do this. But we're going to get some help because we are running out of time. So I would like to thank Sean for coming on. But we got to
go for another 2 minutes. I'm shocked. I'm surprised. I don't know where your cap space is coming from. You don't have money. You're broke. The Steelers are broke. And you're hold on. The shirt you're wearing is a guy that you're going to lose this offseason. He's gone.
Sure. There's so many question marks, but we'll focus on that on the next later on in the season with regards to NFL free agent frenzy. So we'll stay tuned for that. But coming up next, we're going to talk UFC 259 coming up. Big fight night this weekend. Stay tuned to HTF Bets. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, to HTF Bets. This weekend, we have UFC 259 taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada. Big fight weekend here back in the States as we're off Fight Island now. And we have 3 big title fights this weekend, which is headlined by Israel Adesanya and Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight title. But I'm going to start here in the featherweight title matchup with Amanda Nunez, who's going to defend her title against Megan Anderson. Obviously, Amanda Nunez is a huge, huge favorite. I'm going to keep it brief with both of y'all. Do we see any way Megan Anderson can pull off this upset, starting with you, Okelo?
Not a chance. Like I said, this is a South Florida connection, baby. 305-954. Like, Amanda Nunez is literally a Brazilian cyborg. She is built to fight. She is the champ for a reason, and nobody's taken that belt from her. She's trained with Conor McGregor and Daniel Cormier. She's the #1 UFC women's fighter in all of it. Not even Ronda Rousey can come back from retirement and take that crown for her. Amanda Nunez is the face of that featherweight division. She's Pop-Tart, she's sliced bread, she's the hottest ticket. And Megan Anderson is just another victim in terms of getting beaten, victimized, and conquered by the Miami native. So, like I said, there's not much to go in. Amanda Nunez is walking in to Las Vegas as champion and walking out as champion.
Yeah, Robert, do you see any other way? Do you think Megan Anderson has what it takes to, last any time, any good stretch of time here against Amanda Nunez?
No, I mean, when it comes to women's featherweight, it's just a very, very weak division. It dates back to what happened with Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey dominated a division which wasn't that great. And, I was a big Rousey fan for a while, but it was very clear she had a lot of flaws in her game. And not only did Holly Holm, who really in the featherweight division is below average. I mean, if you watch her fight history, then you see an Amanda Nunez come along like she did and just absolutely destroyed Ronda Rousey in her comeback fight. I mean, just destroyed her. So, Amanda Nunez is just wins, wins, wins. I mean, she is going to retire the greatest women's fighter of all time, and it's not particularly close. She is the greatest women's fighter of all time in MMA history. She's held 2 different belts in 2 different weight classes. She's amazing. So her stand-up game is fantastic. She's got great takedown defense. And when it comes to her fighting someone like Megan Anderson, and Megan Anderson is decent. I mean, when it comes to the rest of that division, it's just not a great division. And Megan Anderson right now is getting a huge opportunity for her. I mean, if you can upset Amanda Nunez by some grace of the imagination, you're a legend already. I doubt it happens because Amanda Nunez is still right in the prime of her career. So no, I don't see any fathomable way that Amanda Nunez loses this fight. It would take her, I mean, just slacking off in training for this, which I doubt she is. So no, I don't see Megan Anderson beating Amanda Nunez. I've never been more sure about a fight. No, Amanda Nunez is not losing this fight on Saturday.
Yeah,
Not to mention, Rob, it's been also 7 years since she's last lost a fight, and she's been kicking the teeth out of even guys like Shayna Baszler that have to go leave to WWE to try to make themselves look better about that. Imagine that now, huh? Man, and you beats so bad that you have to go to WWE.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. She is a bad woman, no doubt about it. There's no way I don't think any of us would want to be in the ring with her. But we're going to switch over here to another fight. This one's a little bit harder to gauge here. The bantamweight title on the line. Peter Yan going to defend his featherweight title against Aljamain Sterling. The betting odds here, they have this one straight up even. There's not a favorite in this one. So this one, very tough to call. Okelo, is Peter Yan going to retain his title, or do you see Sterling getting the win here?
I gotta go for the upset. I think this is Lialman's time. I think this is Sterling's time. I mean, he's been winning a lot of fights. Now, granted, his last fight was back in June, and but he won in a submission, against Corey Sandhagen, who I think is a pretty good opponent, if you do say so myself, to get ready to fight the champion. I think that this is his time to claim the belt. I love this underdog story. Like I said, another guy from New York. He's from Massaquepa, little off the style off it from Brooklyn. But once you New York, your family. It's like the Italian mafia. So I got to show love. And I think Sterling, this is his time to be able to rise up, a former NCAA Division II champion. He's going to beat Peter Yan, and he's going to take the bantamweight title. And I'm going to put all my money stacking cards with another submission victory in round 3.
Robert, what do you think Aljamain Sterling has to do to become featherweight champion tonight, or bantamweight champion rather?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, really great fight. This is as even as it gets, like you said, Nick, as the odds reflect. They're kind of, Aljamain Sterling's strength is Peter Yan's really one weakness. Aljamain Sterling is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so he is a great wrestler, and he knows how to submit guys. So getting this fight on the ground is key for Aljamain Sterling winning this fight, because yes, Peter Yan has a great wrestling game. He's actually very good. He's got great takedown defense. He's actually great at getting off the ground, but he's not great on the ground. So if he has to get into a submission match with Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan's never submitted anybody, I don't believe, and he's not great at trying to at submission attempts. So if this goes to the ground, it absolutely favors Aljamain Sterling. Now, that being said, fighting stand-up, Peter Yan's stand-up is phenomenal, and his biggest strength is his striking. I mean, he's one of the best strikers in the UFC. So if this stands up and it goes, they fight on their feet, Peter Yan probably wins this pretty easily. He probably knocks him out. But if it goes to the ground, and Aljamain Sterling can take him down to the ground, and he can wrestle him, if he can get him in a submission attempt, he's probably going to submit Peter Yan. So I could absolutely see this fight going really either way. But no, as to your question, Aljamain Sterling has to get it to the ground. He's got to get him in a submission, and he can beat Peter Yan that way. He's not going to beat him standing up.
Yeah, and this is a great undercard, might I say, going into the main event. I mean, one of the better undercards, I think, that we've seen in the last couple of years, with 3 title fights on the same card. But that being said, obviously the calling card here is the big fight of the weekend. Israel Adesanya is going to defend his light heavyweight championship against Jan Blachowicz in the ring 1-on-1. Okelo Adesanya has been unfazed so far in UFC. He's coming off a big victory over Paulo Costa, which he pretty much handled Costa pretty easily. Is he going to do the same to Blachowicz, or do you think Blachowicz has what it takes?
I mean, Blachowicz is the champion for a reason, right? And in the famous words of Ric Flair, to be the man, you got to beat the man. But this is a man that has stood his ground for most of his time, beating Dominic Reyes, as we mentioned, and, Corey Anderson. I love Blachowicz. Like, I think with Khabib now retired, I think, he is the face of UFC for now. We've seen a lot of guys last year come and go, Daniel Cormier, Anderson Silva. And if you really look at it, Conor McGregor's off his game right now after the beatdown he took. And shout out to you again, Nick. So Blachowicz, he's the light heavyweight champion for a reason. He's not. I don't think anybody's coming at his title. This is just another fight against Israel Adesanya, who I think is a good fighter. He's going to give him a good fight. Now, don't get me wrong. This is going to be a good test for Blachowicz, but Blachowicz is going to walk in, like I said, in Las Vegas, beat the snot out of him by TKO, and he's going to still be champion. So we're not going to really see a title change, but I will not be surprised if this fight goes the distance, because Israel, he's a ground and pounder, kickboxer, and a boxer. So you're going to see, I think, a nice fight. Physicality is going to be there. Blood is going to be dripping. But I'm not going to be surprised if we get to see this close to even going around 6.
Wow. So, Michaela, you got Blachowicz. I think you might be in the minority of that one, especially in the betting odds, where Adesanya is a pretty good favorite for this one. Robert, do you agree with the bettors on this one, or do you think Okelo has a point here?
No, I mean, listen, I actually do think Okelo does have a point here. It's very hard to pick against Israel Adesanya. I don't necessarily think Jan Blachowicz is going to beat Israel, just because I think it's pretty crazy to pick against Israel. The guy's perfect in the UFC. He's perfect in his fight history. So we know he can get things done. I mean, he picked Paulo Costa apart in their last fight. I mean, finished him in the second round. So no, I think this is probably Israel's biggest test. I don't think Israel's fought a guy really as good as Jan Blachowicz is in stand-up, because they're both great stand-up fighters. And I think Blachowicz, his advantage is that he has the power. I mean, Blachowicz punches are insane. I mean, the guy hits like a truck. So he can beat Israel standing up, just because of the pure strength. But Israel's got the endurance. Israel's got the longevity to him. Blachowicz problem is I don't think he can go super, super long, just because of the strength behind his punches. So no, when it comes to a guy like Israel, yeah, I think Blachowicz is going to be his biggest threat standing up, but I still think Israel pulls this out. I hate to go across the board and go with the bettors just because, I am picking the favorites in each fight, but I think it's just really, really tough to beat a guy like Israel. There's a reason he's perfect in the UFC. So if Israel can get this done, I would not be shocked if nobody beats Israel. I mean, this is the best chance for Israel to lose, I think. So it's going to be a great fight. I mean, this is the one everybody's been waiting for. I mean, we saw them on the same card a few months ago. Now we're seeing them on the same card in the same fight. So this is going to be a nail biter, because it can go either way. But I still see Israel pulling out and pulling through this one.
All good things must come to an end, Robert. And as much as I love Israel, like I said, undefeated. We've seen guys go 20-0. That's like winning these type of fights don't come easy in UFC, to beat 20 down opponents. But to face the champion who's been on a tear, even though his last fight has been in a while, I just don't see it happening. This is going to be a humbling moment. I think, he'll definitely gain some good publicity out of the fight. But like I said, there's not going to be any title changes, not this week, not in this fight card. But I am excited to see a very good fight.
Yes, we all are indeed, and we can't wait to see what happens on Saturday night. But here at HTF Bets, that is all the time we have for this week. Great show, gentlemen. We will see everybody next week when we dive right back into fantasy basketball and, of course, what's going on in NFL free agency. See you next week.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.